so, it's great for me just to get out and go birding. I like to take pictures of birds. And so, not only just look at them, but just get out and take pictures and just basically just getting outside. I mean, it's a great opportunity to just get outside and look around and get in touch with nature and what's around you.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got a fun show for you today, and we're back on Zoom this week, and just wanted to connect with Mr. David Hanni, and he's going to be our guest today. He's our bird guy at the office, and he's a smart guy and fun to have on, and we enjoy having him when we can. And it's a fun celebration this week with the online celebration of cranes. We couldn't do the Crane Festival this week, so we've kind of adapted the festival and brought it to you online. So we're excited to talk cranes today. So Mr. Don King is helping me co-host, and glad to have him with me as well.
Yes, sir, Jason. Great to be here, and thanks for the invite as usual. And I just wanted to say that, this is the 30th year for the Sandhill Crane Festival, and it's too bad that we can't be together in person. But hey, we've recorded some virtual pieces that I think will be fun to look at this week. And Miss Mimi Barnes has pulled in a lot of the partners that help put the festival on under normal circumstances, and it's pretty neat to see their thoughts and some good footage of cranes and birds flying around. So check them out this week.
Yeah, I've seen some highlights of those videos, and if you've been on our Facebook page this week, you've already seen quite a few posted, and there's more to come tomorrow. I know I think they're going to try to go live with some cranes. So hopefully you can tune in on our Facebook page and chat with the guys and ask your questions and watch the birds fly. So it should
be neat.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on a new hat we have in the e-store. So it's shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com. I'm excited to highlight the hat. I know it's for sale right now. I believe it's $20, and all that money will go to help with the refuge, the Hiwassee Refuge, where the birds are hanging out right now. So if technology helps me here, I'll share the screen and we'll show it off to everybody. But there's the front view. Can you see that, guys?
That looks
very nice. Very nice. Great.
So if you're listening, make sure you go check out the show on our YouTube page or on Facebook, and go to shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com to see the hat. It's got Hiwassee Refuge written across the front and a bird flying. But anyway, I think folks will enjoy the hat, and like I said, the proceeds go to a good cause to help with the refuge and help with the cranes and all that fun stuff. So we'll have to get one of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and there's a lot more there. I know we tout it quite often, but there's a lot of hats available on that site. We got a lot of different styles. I think some of the breast cancer awareness hats are there as well with the pink patch. You can still pick those up, and a lot of other styles. So just keep your eye out for new stuff on the e-store. I think Don had one of the first brown hats. He said you still wear it quite often.
Yeah, sure do. And a lot of people are envious because those sold out. So there's no more to be had unless we redo them at some point. But anyway, I'm a proud owner of one. So it's a nice hat.
New styles ever so often, and new products. So go check it out. Well, David, introduce yourself to folks on the show. I know some folks have, or you've been on in the past. We were at the refuge once with you, and I think we had you on one other time. Maybe it was via Zoom, I think, last time. But introduce yourself again to the folks listening and watching.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on the show. It's great to see both of y'all, and it is too bad that we can't be down, looking at the cranes and hearing them, because that's just such a great sound to hear, and it's really neat to be out there. at Hiwassee, but I'm basically the Bird Conservation Coordinator for Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and my responsibilities lie trying to keep species off the endangered species list or get species off of them. And in the state of Tennessee, we have a wildlife action plan, and so we've identified about 90 bird species that are in that plan that I'm responsible for managing for, and Sandhill Cranes is one of those species.
You got your work cut out for you, sounds like, with that many birds to keep your eye
on. It keeps me busy.
And do you have a team that works with you? Do you got a few people to help you there?
Well, I get some help from the regional folks, but within Nashville office, it's just me, myself, and I.
All right. Well, we know you do good work, and you give us updates every so often. We appreciate that, and I know you're doing good work there. Especially with those on the list, you got to keep an eye on those for sure.
That's right, definitely.
Well, let's talk about cranes a little bit. I know right now is the celebration, and like Don mentioned, this would have been the 30th year of the festival in person. I don't know, maybe we'll call next year the 30th anniversary so we can get together. But tell us why the birds are here. Why are the Sandhills stopping over at Hiwassee, and why is it so important?
Yeah, basically the birds that are coming down to Hiwassee are part of the larger eastern population of Sandhill Cranes, and a lot of those birds, will breed around the Great Lakes during the breeding season, then come down into this area during the winter. Obviously, the lakes are freezing up there, and so they need a different place to go. And so, the numbers can vary depending on how harsh the winters are. But the population within the eastern Sandhill crane population has been really increasing since 1979. I know that there were about 15,000 cranes in the population, and now we're about at 90,000. So about 90,000 birds in the eastern population of cranes. And a lot of those birds are coming down and going to Hiwassee. I know we get several high counts down there. And basically we use the winter waterfowl surveys to track the numbers of these birds. And so, that's been going on since about the 50s. And so in Tennessee, you can see, regularly the Sandhill crane at Hiwassee, and then also you'd be able to locate it out in West Tennessee at Hiwassee Refuge. And so those are two of the locations in Tennessee where you can really dependably get detections and see the Sandhill crane, which is a beautiful bird.
I forget about Hiwassee, and I forget about that they take that path as well on that side of the state. And that's cool. I guess not as many birds there maybe, or are there? Do you know?
Well, there's about half as many, I think, from some of the numbers that I've seen. So, you can get up to like 7,000 or so, I think. So
there's opportunities there, I guess, to watch them as well if you want to go out and watch them.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there viewing towers or viewing areas there to hang out? Or I'm not familiar too much with hop in and what the opportunities are there.
Yeah, and I'm not either. I think it would just be a matter of showing up and taking a look around. You can also visit the Tennessee Birding Trail website, tennesseebirdingtrail.org. And that'll give a detailed description of all the sites in the state that are out there for just going to look at sandhill cranes or any bird species. So if you just go and visit that site, it's a really neat site because you can go to Hiwassee Refuge and it'll tell you what time of year is the best time to go visit, what species you can expect to see at that location, and just give you hints and tips on what's there and what amenities are available. So it's a really great site if you're going to do any type of birding, not only for the cranes, but for other species, just to go to that site before you go out, and it'll give you directions on your phone just to get you right to the spot where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. You kind of touched on this a little bit, I think, but what's one of the reasons the cranes like that Hiwassee Refuge so much? Is it's the food, the habitat? What's the key thing that keeps them coming back, keeps them stopping?
Yeah, I think it's all of that. They really need a place where they can roost and feel comfortable. And so if you notice or have ever been out to Hiwassee, at night they'll keep their backs to the water and faces front to make sure that there's no predators coming in. And so that's a great place where they're undisturbed down at the refuge at Hiwassee. And then, the surrounding fields provide, a lot of forage opportunity for these birds. And so, they'll go out during the day and, forage around all the fields and come back at night. And I mean, another place to find some good information on the crane and other species would be tnwatchablewildlife.org or on our website as well. We have a detailed description of all the commonly or all the birds occurring for the most part in Tennessee.
Yeah, and I've got bird sounds out there and all kinds of information.
Yeah, that's right.
Helps you identify and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Well, staying with Hiwassee Refuge, I think just wanted to talk about the viewing tower out there. Don was out recently shooting some video, and the tower's still there and a great spot to see the birds from. And but if you want to get out that way, I think you can pretty easily Google that and it'll come up, directions to the refuge and how to find that. But it's a great spot to overlook and bring your spotting scope. And I think there were some folks out there doing that, weren't they, Don, when you were out shooting some video?
There sure were, yeah. And like David said, that is open pretty much during normal hours, pretty much every day of the year. I think there are a couple of days of the year where it isn't, but for the most part, you can go out there virtually anytime and do some viewing. This time of year is really good. And as David mentioned, the sites that he mentioned also will give you the directions and that kind of thing. But like you said, Jason, you can Google that and you can just find it pretty easily. But it is a neat area down there, and even driving into the refuge, you'll see and hear birds flying the area. As David mentioned, foraging in the fields, because it's just rife with farmland and private land around there that hosts those birds as well during the day. That they'll go out and feed and then come back and roost. So it's a really neat area.
Awesome, yeah. And there's a lot of cool information there at the gazebo or at the viewing tower where you can read up on the birds and get information as well there, if I remember right. So go check them out. Go check out the refuge. Go check out the birds. Like I said, anytime this time of year. It doesn't have to be this weekend. Doesn't have to be during the festival, or you can go check them out just about any time in the wintertime. So
yeah, starting in about mid-November. Is that right, David? You might be able to begin to see them coming in, and then through into January, February for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they really start to come in, and then December and in January is when we're getting some of the highest counts. And I mean, so there are a lot of other birds that you'd be able to see out there at Hiwassee as well. I mean, when I was down there, I think it was maybe a month ago, when we were doing those recordings, there were a lot of bald eagles around there, and it's just amazing what's happened in the state when we talk about that species. I mean, that's one of the success stories that we really talk about when we talk about the State Wildlife Action Plan and work that this agency has done to really recover a population. Because historically, back when Bob Hatcher was in this position, they were basically extinct from Tennessee. I mean, the last records I think were on Reelfoot in like the mid 1950s, and then they were basically gone until the 80s. And so that's when TWRA and Bob Hatcher started the hacking program. And 83, I think, was when we started to first see successful nests in Tennessee. And since then, I mean, I maintain a database. So if anyone out there knows of any bald eagle nests, please report them to me at david.hanni@tn.gov. because I keep a database of all the locations and work with both state and federal agencies to try and figure out, what the population of bald eagles are in Tennessee. And so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the one of the most successful hacking towers having to do with bald eagles and eventually golden eagles was right there at that in that area around Hiwassee, the refuge. So I remember going down and shooting some segments with Tennessee's Wild Side back in the early 2000s with the Golden Eagles, after we'd kind of migrated over to working with the Golden Eagles. So prior to that, before my time, there were the Hacking Tower was hosting bald eagles. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, they've made a great recovery. I mean, over 200 active nests in the state now is pretty amazing.
That's cool. I knew we kept up with them, but I didn't know that you were working that close and know a pretty hard number, on the number of nests. So that's pretty cool to know that 200 nests in Tennessee. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's from east to west, right?
Oh yeah, it's the entire state. So, obviously along a lot of the waterways and reservoirs, so that's where they mainly reside. So
if someone wanted to get out and try to bird watch for eagles, and Hiwassee's a good one, what's some other places you'd suggest, or maybe just go boating and start watching,
Yeah, I mean, Reelfoot's a great location too. I mean, there's a lot of eagles out there. And then if you look at eBird, just look at their species map, and they'll tell you where the birds were sighted within the last 2 weeks. And so, if you just go to eBird, I think it's .org probably, and then you can easily Google it, but you can just do a search for each of these species, and it'll show you the exact locations of where birders have detected that bird, and for any species, and you can go and look for them that way as well.
Well, it's a cold week, and is that a good time? Is it colder weather better? What's the best weather for watching eagles and cranes and that kind of thing?
I mean, I think just any time's a good time. When they're here, they're going to be more active during the day, obviously, than they are, in the evening or night. So yeah, just get out there whenever you can and keep your eyes open. Well,
you mentioned Dr. Hatcher or Mr. Hatcher. I don't know if he was a doctor or not, but they created a scholarship in honor of him. Talk about that a little bit. You were played a big part in that.
Yeah. So in 2016, we started a memorial scholarship fund for in recognition of all the efforts that Bob Hatcher had done, to recover not only the bald eagle in the state, but I mean all of the other wildlife and animals he was responsible for. I think the position that he had was even responsible for more species than I had. So he had his work really cut out for him. But I mean, he just did an amazing job, and it's just a great opportunity to have this scholarship fund that's available. And basically it's available to students who are a junior or senior or graduate student that are pursuing a career in ornithology. And so we've given out several scholarships starting in 2016 to some well-deserving folks. And I mean, these guys are doing some great work and continue to do great work as they move forward and developing their careers in ornithology. And so it's just really great to provide this opportunity for these students and young ornithologists to get them out in the field and affecting bird conservation as we move forward into the future.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, and you can go to our foundation's website, twrf.net, to learn more about that program. You can also notice there's a video here you can watch, and but you can donate, right? You can donate to that scholarship and help.
Yeah, and that would be greatly appreciated. We did miss this year because of the COVID, but we'll definitely be recruiting new applicants and for this next year coming up.
Awesome. That sounds good. So so we've talked about golden eagle or bald eagles. What about the golden eagle? What's going on with that guy?
Yeah, there's a neat story with that one. So we've been doing a project in Tennessee where we've been putting these cellular tracking technology devices, which basically track the exact location of the bird throughout the year. And so we put several out at Bear Hollow. We put a few out at some other locations within Tennessee, and then in February 2017, we caught a bird at Prentice Cooper. And so a lot of these birds we found, are going up into Quebec and breeding and spending breeding season, around Hudson Bay there. And then we caught this bird down at Prentice Cooper, which kind of threw us for a loop a little bit, and it went up into Ontario. And so we thought all the birds that we have been catching in the southern Appalachian Mountains were going up into Quebec, but this bird showed a different story, and so that was really neat. And it caused us to reconsider, what are the migratory paths of these birds? Are these birds mixing with other birds in different locations during the breeding season? And so it just really added to the questions that we currently have. But I just checked this morning, and that bird is back again at Prentice Cooper, which is pretty amazing, at the exact same location where we caught it. And it's just amazing how these birds can come back to these exact locations year after year, because we put the transmitter on it in 2017, and every year since then, including this year, it's come back to the same location for the winter. And so I think that's pretty amazing how birds can navigate like that. Definitely. Across far distances.
Yeah, that reminds me of the project with the mallards that's going on in Tennessee, Texas. Yeah. They're putting those backpacks on those ducks, and they're coming back to the same spots, and that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Can you talk a little bit about how you catch those golden eagles? I think it's kind of cool how y'all do that work. I mean, it's
a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of TWRA staff helps out. We have to put some bait stations out for the golden eagles in these open locations in forests. And so once we find a location, we'll provide the deer carcass to try and bait in these eagles, and they're very skeptical of humans or anything around them, and so they're really hard to trap. So you need to set this up, make sure that you maintain the bait, and then we also put up a mock setup for the trap that we'll be using. And so we set all that up, and then we have to wait until the bird gets conditioned to that site and it's coming in regularly. And then some folks, Trish and Mike from Cellular Tracking Technologies, have come out to actually trap the birds. And so what's involved with that is they sit in a blind for maybe a whole day. I mean, they're in this blind without moving, and so it can be cold and wet and damp and just miserable sometimes. But they sit there, and then once the eagle comes into the bait and the trap is set, then it's like a rocket net that shoots out over the eagle and captures the eagle. And so, a few of the efforts that I've been to, have taken maybe 1 or 2 days to capture a single eagle. So a lot of work goes into trapping these birds. And so that's why it's so important to get the information and put that device on.
Hey, David, I had a question about that. Are trail cameras used to kind of figure out where the best areas are to try to bait them in?
They were actually used to see how the bird was responding to the carcass and how often it was coming to the carcass or the bait. And so, we were using that to try and figure out the pattern of the bird. And so we know when we have the best chances of going out and actually capturing it. So we did use the camera traps, and that's been a huge effort throughout the East. I mean, it's not only Tennessee that's working on this, it's a lot of states within the East that have been putting these transmitters on and following the same protocol and working with the same technology to provide really a clear picture of what's going on with this bird in the Eastern United States.
I know a few years ago, I had the opportunity to go to one of those sites after they captured the bird, the eagle, and I got to get some video of the release and putting the tracker on them and all that stuff, and got to hold one of them. So that was kind of neat to experience that. They're amazing birds. Big birds.
Yeah, they're big birds. They're very impressive.
Well, let's jump into some viewing opportunities. That's what I wanted to touch on too, was just the ability to watch birds across the state. Where would you suggest if people want to get into watching wildlife, where to go to do that? And
yeah, definitely both those sites that I mentioned earlier. I mean, tnwatchablewildlife.org, and then also tnbirdingtrails.org. That'll really give you all the information you need to go look for birds in the state of Tennessee. eBird is also a good resource to use to figure out where birds are being detected throughout the state. And we'll also give you hotspots. But if you're just looking to go out and bird and really want to know what the conditions are of the sites, then I would visit the tnbirdingtrails.org, because that, again, is just a great site and has a lot of work put into it, not only by TWRA, but Tennessee Ornithological Society and other groups as well, to try and get as much information and make it as beneficial as it can to birders in the state.
Yeah, and other groups, are there groups you can join or Facebook pages you can be a part of, groups, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the Tennessee Ornithological Society has chapters throughout the state. And I mean, it'd be best to reach out to them through their website. I'm sure you can just Google Tennessee Ornithological Society and find out how to get involved with them. I mean, they do a lot of work, here locally, just by, bringing new birders out and showing them how to detect birds, how to use binoculars, how to identify by sight and sound, and give them several tips. So I would really suggest, getting involved with Tennessee Ornithological Societies to take advantage of some of those resources that are available.
Hey, David, I would say, I don't know that I've ever met a birder that wasn't really excited about sharing the information that they have with new people, get them involved and get them to care about what's going on out there. So that's, like you said, that's just a great resource to connect with another birder. Now, they may ask you to really be quiet when you're birding, but when they're preparing that kind of thing, they're more than happy to share information about equipment and just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, now's a great time to get out. I mean, obviously, we're restricted to, going and doing a lot of things. And so, it's great for me just to get out and go birding. I like to take pictures of birds. And so, not only just look at them, but just get out and take pictures and just basically just getting outside. I mean, it's a great opportunity to just get outside and look around and get in touch with nature and what's around you.
Well, we're going to run out of time. We're hitting the 2-minute mark here. So I just wanted to mention we got a lot of refuges, a lot of wildlife management areas across the state. Visit our website, tnwildlife.org, to find these places or the other sites that David's mentioned today. Real quick, backyard. What can you do in your backyard to watch wildlife?
No, I mean, just get your binoculars and start taking a look. I mean, there are a lot of birds that'll just be available. They'll change, from winter to breeding season. You'll get different birds. And so I'm not sure if people want to put up feeders, but you can put out feeders, both seed feeders or hummingbird feeders that you would regularly maintain. And that could draw a few more birds, especially during the winter, to your yard. And then also just providing nesting opportunities for bluebirds and other bird species in their yard.
They are wearing my feeders out, David. I'm going to refill here right after we finish.
I bet. It's snowing out there today.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a cold week, but hey, get out to the refuge and check out what's going on out there. Watch the birds, watch the cranes, and then I hope y'all enjoyed this online celebration of cranes this week on our Facebook page. But David, thank you, and thank you, Don, and we'll see everybody next time.
All right.
Thank you for having me on the show.